Welcome. Today is Sunday, the third day of September 2017. My name is Derek. Let's take a look at some precious metals: gold, silver, platinum, palladium, heck, even some copper as well while we're at it. And I'm looking at the 15-minute gold chart. Some interesting things of note. First, the movements that is shown on Friday. After just a little bit of everything going on, your declining sideways movement after the last leg higher. You have this green up candle, comes back. Volatility definitely increasing. Another test of where it came from, lower high, and another high volatile 3-period push down to this low, breaking the support, thus failed breakdown. And well, we're seeing the fast move towards the upside, and this is occurring after this market closes and it gaps higher. Oh, I gotcha. It was closed. Closed for whom, I might ask? And well, we'll just continue on further as we look at different time frames. Let's look on the daily chart. And what we were seeing before was like a wave formation. Don't know how to explain this, but and definitely the choppy moves, to say the least, when you look at this, and this. And notice the lows. You got this one, this one, this one, and then a little bit lower showing again failed breakdown. And definitely, of course, the fast move to the upside has already come into place. What's the big key resistance this market has been facing this year? Well, originally it was up in the 1260 area. After having this very good correction and resisting it a little bit, it had a leg higher. And then it then came close to 13, right at 13, and then several days consolidating pretty much at the high areas that have 2 times hit area, and then the breakout in here. So after the breakout, there's been a little bit of consolidation and a continuation towards the upside. So that wavy pattern trend, that has changed. The rise from this 18 average has been several days because it's at levels not seen, at least within this time frame. So the resistance area where it came back from, or where it left, is leaving from where it could come back towards. That price area would be roughly between 1275 and 1300. Let's look at this more further, because we know 1335 is the highest for the year so far. So we're at all-time highs for the year. When's the last time we've seen it? And we need to see the weekly, so let's put that baby up. And it's very choppy looking at it, and it's also more of the consolidation from the more longer term, which will be shown very shortly. But again, we're breaking past that 1275 to 1300 level and now approach where it came from before. It congested in the area for a little bit between 1300 up to about 1375. So it's in that key area there. We can see a little bit of resistance here as well. And as I've stated, this is more of a long-term congestion, leaving this weekly time frame right now. As we can see within this 18 average band, how it's had a nice little correctionary phase, breaking above it. So the buyer's in control. How much higher it can get? Well, if it tops now, when I talk about that level, that would be very normal trading. But that doesn't mean just because it could do it now, it will. It could very easily come up and face a more heavier, likely shot of resistance again towards the 1370, 75-ish area. Let's look at the monthly chart. And markets can correct one and or of 2 ways, either that of price by going in the opposite direction from where it came from, or that of time or sideways. And this is one of those ands, as it corrected through price, and there we can see it's basically it definitely is correcting through time. As far as the 18 average is concerned, within this run up, the only Difficulties within the 18 average low from the breakout in 2002 occurred within this 2008 fall, very quick regaining within the band, several months within it, and then the breakout, of course, occurred here for a decent leg with several support tests amongst this alone. With those great gains, it's still consolidating the good portion of it. Then it falls through in here, and it has not been able to establish a bull market since. The resistance comes in, resistance comes in. Oh, okay, so now for a reversal in trend, step 1, band flatten out right here. Step 2, establish a level of resistance. Step 3, come back to the band. That's what it's doing. And next step is leaving it. I'm going to keep this time frame the same, but I'm going to shorten out the period. So we're going to take a look at less candles now. And it's leaving, I hate saying that basically word. It's leaving the 18 average right now. It's the second time it's attempted to do it. So price action over 1400 for now will deem this market bullish. And I would expect very much a continuation into some of these higher levels. And with nice looking green candles most likely to follow if, of course, it's able to make that a break above it. Let's move on to the silver market next. And within this daily time frame, sideways, choppy, you can make a case this looks a little bit like an inverted head and shoulders pattern either way. It's showing some bullishness, at least right now within the near term. But for now, it has been able to get above this resistance level after it's already came to it and had a little bit of a correction back to the 18 average. It's had this correction within this run, had this correction, and this one. So it's had several amounts since this very, very low figure in at around 14 1/3. This occurred at around, or exactly, I think 7 p.m. Eastern time on that date, which is a situation where the markets are the less liquid for buy orders and all the other stuff that they do within the way they trade on those markets. So therefore, it doesn't take as many amount of liquidity to bring it down. So it's like a fear tactic kind of move is how I read that situation. And obviously, it looks like it failed. And from the failed move, we can see the market's been going higher. Let's make this a little more long term. We can see that it's broken this level. And 1850 is now the next level that it's taking this out. As far as where it came from, if it's going to come back. At this stage, all we have right now is this level here at around 17 low change. And then again at about 16 2/3. So in that area here, if there's any decent correction, I'd be looking for support. I'd be a little reluctant within Fibonacci only because of the event in here, but I think I'd have to use a 14 1/3 low to, right now, the 1850 high. So let's put that number up quickly. And as it stands, I look at 1742 and 1678 as the key numbers. It's breaking out past that 1740 number, which means it's pretty much ready to make a move to its previous high, 18.5. And then the 61.8 number at 1678. So, and as I've already pointed these areas out, so that would be where I would expect, if there's going to be any corrections, where it's going to go to. Let's make this a bit more of a longer term look. We'll go the monthly chart. And just like gold, it's got the correctionary phase with the very long price correction after it already had a sideways correction in here. And that's what it's going through again. The support level here is the area of this resistance. But what's most important is how it's already established this area in here at about 21 and change. And that's what I'd be looking for this thing to really get going. So it's pretty much in this neutrality as long as it's in this sideways consolidation mode, or as long as it's in that level between 13 and change up to about 21 and so. All right, let's look at some platinum next. It continues to move up as well. It had a decent consolidation from what was a very nice leg higher, coming from about the 920 handle up to about 990. And now it's broken that resistance level and just moving higher. So it's definitely looking like it's making a move, at least to the previous high in that 1040. There's obvious many support levels along the way, as market came from huge at around this 1000 area, probably down to about 970 something, if there's going to be any correctionary moves. But let's take a look at this a little bit longer term. Not as nice of a monthly time frame, but right now it's trying to attempt to leave this 18 average. It's been in this long sideways consolidation field since 2016, and of course this long correction time frame as well. Let's take a look next at palladium. And on the daily, what more need to be stated? Obvious, very beautiful looking bull market run, but since this congestion phase concluded, huge green candle to the upside. On the weekly, it's decided to make a statement because we have this key high, which was resisted a little bit here, came back to its correctionary phase, the 18 average, and has just left it. So the statement is, yeah, we're leaving where we came from. We're exploring new areas. Where would those new areas be? Let's take a look at the monthly. And this is just a little ways away, this previous high from the start of the millennium. And it's leaving this level. It's been in here for this decade, since 2010. A little failed breakdown in here. Fast move to the upside. So then, as far as I'm looking at this now, markets oftentimes will come back to where they came from. I think this might possibly be a potential range if it's going to resist this upcoming area. And I'd be looking for support long term up towards this 800 to even up towards here. If, of course, it's going to come down from there. But the big kicker is when you get to situations where you go to uncharted territories in these bull markets, they can get pretty wild if, of course, we're not going to see resistance. We can see 1200 would be a clear break. So if price action is just above that number, that's noticeable for me. 1210, 1220, anything like that. This thing has the potential to go hog wild, and a hog wild would look something like this. I guess to a lesser extent here, but the potential for these gains is huge. And like the cryptos, the X gains that you're getting on these moves have been phenomenal. As you have like 160 up to 800 here, you got over 1,000, and it was around that lower level in here. And so now we're leaving from 480 or so, 500. We'll see how this moves forward, but very much a bullish looking right now. And I just even looking at this congestionary phase and how it's just been grinding its way higher, and the volatility increases is going up just a little bit, but enough where you could say it was going up a little bit in here too. Let's move on to copper next. This is the daily chart to start off with, and here's a long congestion area in which it traded from basically the election highs, well, till the start of the summer, as the breakout pretty much occurred in here. And notice the size of this candle and how is it followed from such a beautiful consolidation after the fact. And well, since this it left this band, it's had a nice little up move and just small consolidation or correctionary plays along the fact. But it's a most certain clear breakout. 270 to 280 was where it left, so that's where it would come back to if it's going to do such. Let's take a look at this on a more longer term time frame. And this is a situation where I've talked about this before, where you have a declining trend. Stage 1, band flattens out. Stage 2, establish resistance. Stage 3, come back to the band. Stage 4, break it. That's completed. So we're in a bull market now within this monthly time frame. And as I've stated, for where it's came from, we can see it a little bit here. Where does it have the potential to go? Well, it's at a resistance area field as we stand right now. So this will be interesting to see where it'll go. So I have to say right here is where it's got the potential to go. And well, obviously, that's not how I'm trying to state it. Just resistance area test should come back here. If it doesn't, and of course coming back here would match within the band more times than not, if not all times. But if it doesn't, well, where's the next areas where it's got the potential to go? Well, this level, this support level is really more part of this congestion area. So up to $4 and even in here to $4.50. So I would think if we're not going to resist this area where we stand, $4 to $4.50 could happen, well, before the end of the year, maybe even before Thanksgiving. Either Canadian or US, I don't know. But just quickly is not a surprise if there is not going to be any correctionary moves in here. Let's take a quick look at the US dollar before I end this video. And it's been in a downtrend for the entire year. And as far as how I look at this within the 18 average, I consider it holding on by a thread. And watch out, this thing has the potential to maybe test, I don't know, maybe even 90. I'm not even going to pick a number. Rather, I wouldn't be surprised if it does break below here, and I think it's looking towards doing such, that you could have a decent leg lower. I think that's the best way of putting it, instead of trying to pick a number. Because after this last leg in here, finding support, it's at an area where it should be more longer term, trying to find some decent bounces, and having this move to 94 most certainly is not decent. Coming back in here, making a lower low. So the statement really signifies one of two things: that we're continuing the bear market and you've made the low, come up to the correctionary phase, and then of course once you leave the band, like it's been on so many occasions within here, you're gonna have some nasty moves lower. Now on the contrary, of course, the alternate is the failed move, the situation in which you break a key level, which is the key level in here, you quickly regain towards that area, and then you usually quickly make a move above the 18 average of highs. And this is the daily chart, so I would define quickly as by the end of the week. But I think the odds do favor more towards this having a declining move going forwards. That's just what I think. But of the two scenarios of another leg lower versus failed breakdown, breaking, and then following with the break well in the 93s, of those two choices, I would think that the next leg lower would be the next one. Anything you do from this video, any decisions, is your own risk, own reward. I'm trying to just help in anything you may be looking towards, and just to offer an insight towards going over the charts that I, of course, use myself. Thank you for tuning in, and have yourself a great day. Bye-bye.